Hey, g'day guys, welcome back to my channel here. So yesterday I was taking some images of the sun. It wasn't the best day in the world, but after taking a few images I decided why not try and record a sequence of images and see if I could produce a video, which I ended up doing. So whilst that's sort of fresh in my brain, I thought why not record a little video just to show the process of how I did this. So essentially this is not actually how to capture images of the sun. I've done that in a different video, or solar images. This is just going to be once you've captured a sequence of images. So in my case I was capturing about, I think, 500 to 700 frames every 30 seconds, and I did that for about an hour and a half, which obviously leaves you with a lot of data. Then of course you need to stack all of those in a program, and then you're going to need to sharpen those, and finally you're going to need to put them all together into a video file. So in order to do that, you'll see on the screen I've got the pieces of software here. So SharpCap is what I use to capture my sequence in. So it's a great piece of software for capturing the sequence, but I'm not going to go into that because, like I said, this is more about just how to process the images into a video file. What I will do is I'll just show you quickly then how to do that in AutoStacker, so how to stack those images as a batch, how to sharpen them all as a batch, how to align the images as a batch, and then finally just process it into a video, and I'm using pip. So all of those pieces of software actually are free. So all of this software here is freely downloadable. So look, let's get into it. And I don't want to make this too long, but I just wanted to show the key steps in order to be able to create yourself a little animation of those solar captures. Now, obviously, just to say outright, if you're going to create an animation, you need quite a lot of files because, you know, roughly you need about 25 to 30 frames per second. So in my case, I managed, I think, about 5 seconds worth or something like that. So let's get into it and have a look what we've got. I'm just going to use a subset of the data that I used yesterday just to demonstrate the process. Okay guys, so first job, we need to get into AutoStacker and we need to stack each of our video files into one image. Of course, at the moment these are each a short video file which is capturing 750 frames actually each file. And what I want to do is stack the best of those frames down into one image per file. Okay, so let's go and open AutoStacker. What I can do is I can just select all the files in there. So I've selected everything, all 25 of these test files that I'm going to use. I'm going to drag them across onto AutoStacker. Okay, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm just going to set my, you see here it says image stabilization anchor. It's usually best to have that on some sort of contrasty sort of point on your image. So I might just set it over here on one of these sunspots. I'm going to click analyze next. I know this is not going to be the best data in the world. Okay, that's looking all right. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the best 10% of these frames. Okay, if you've got really good data, you can select more. I'm going to set drizzle off. I'm going to have surface ticked over here. I'm going to have improved tracking ticked, expand. Yeah. That's all my settings pretty much, and like I said, I'm doing 10%, outputting them as TIFF files. And what we're going to do now is just click on place AP grid. Now when you place this AP grid, just make sure your minimum brightness is down, because I know for myself, because I've got that prominence coming out of the side of this, I want to be able to pick up, you can't see it obviously here because it's not stretched enough, but I've got a prominence over here in this black area, so I want to put my minimum brightness down. If you're just doing the surface, you probably wouldn't need your minimum brightness down to 0, but for my purposes, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to pick 104 points, okay, which is going to be enough enough points for me, and then I'm going to click stack. Okay, so I'm going to stack the best 10% of each of these video files. So let's go stack. All right, so off we go. And we should get a new subfolder in here soon. So you can see AutoStack has created a new subfolder now inside this directory. And that's my first little stacked image. Okay, so I'll get one per video file. So I should, when this is finished, I'll get 25 files, which is, about 1 second's worth of video data. All right, let's come back when this is finished. Okay, guys, so that has finished now. So we can see that we've got our 25 images in our folder here, in our the folder that it's been created by AutoStacker. Just back to when we initially started this and we put our stabilization anchor in at the beginning. Look, because we're processing a batch of images here, and each one, the orientation the image might have shifted very slightly. I'm not really sure if that stabilization anchor that we put in at the beginning is really going to be particularly useful when you're processing a batch of images like this. So, not too sure about that one. But anyway, we have our images now, our final images. So basically now we've kind of finished with that stacking portion, right? So I'm going to close AutoStacker down, and we can see in our folder here all our images. Now there's going to be variety here, because like I said, you want to do this really on a good seeing day, because I can see looking through these that some of them are quite good, some of them are quite average. What you can do is, if you've got any really bad ones in there, you can just delete them and take them out. You don't want to take too many out, of course, because you're trying to make an animation. But yeah, so that's basically our images stacked at that point. So our next job now we've got our stacked images, is to sharpen our images. So for this, I'm going to use this program. It's a free program called IMPPG. Okay, so what I'll do is, and a lot of this is subjective as to how much you sharpen it, okay, but I'm just going to show you. So I'm going to drag one of these images in here, my first image. Okay. You can zoom in and out, and what I'm going to do is just going to click this button here, which is going to apply my sharpening to the whole image rather than part of it. And what you basically are doing here is you can play with these sliders, and especially these amount sliders here, and sort of see how much sharpening you want to apply to the image. It's really subjective, this, and it takes a bit of a while to get used to. You can add more than one mask if you want as well, and do them at different sort of levels. So I could set my first sigma down low and then my second one a bit higher, and you can sort of see what kind of balance of sharpening you like. Again, really hard to judge what other people want, because sometimes you can really over sharpen these, but that's, again, it's so subjective as to how you find how sharpened is too much for you. So since we're really just looking more at how to create a video here, I'm not going to worry too much about this. I'm just going to I've applied a bit of sharpening there. You can see it go up, look, quite a lot by moving these sliders around. Yeah, I'm going to leave it about there. Now, at the same time here, if I click on this histogram button here, I can add a bit of contrast in these images, and I can also bring out this prominence. We know there's a prominence here that we can't see at the moment. So now, again, subjective, you can invert this, or you can process it whichever way you want. If you want to keep your dark spots looking dark, you might want to do this the other way around. For this purpose, I think what I might do is just start to invert this, and I might just bring this back just so we can see that prominence there. Okay. And again, like I said, you have a play with this and get it the way that you want it, the way that you want it to appear. You know, that's kind of okay. You can literally spend forever in here. You know, so trying to get that balance between the background and trying to get it not too grainy, or yeah, who knows? I mean, is that all right? It's not bad, but okay. You know, that's kind of okay. That's not too bad. I can sort of see some of the surface there. All right, so let's pretend, for example, we're happy with that. Now, of course, I don't want to do this individually on every image. I want to process them as a batch again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save these settings right here. So I'm going to go to Settings. I'm actually going to go to File, and I'm going to go Save Processing Settings. So let's go back to our test folder, and I know that the stacked images are in this folder. So I'm just going to call this IMPPG setting 1, okay, and go save. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this, and let's go and find our batch processing option. So we go to File now, Batch Processing, Add Files. Now I want all of my, I'm just going to change this to a list for a moment. I want all of my files here, all my TIFF files. I'm going to select all of those. I'm going to go Open. So you can see it's added them all now. And now I'm going to find that settings file that we just created. Okay, I'm going to go Open. So now I've got all the files that I'm wanting to sharpen using those settings that I've just loaded. Okay, and now it's asking me what output folder do I want. So we got, yeah, that's fine. Now these are going to be our sharpened images. Okay, so let's call this one maybe maybe we'll just put it in the root folder, and we'll call these sharpened. Okay, so that's my folder, select folder. So now it's going into there, output format TIFF. Yep, that's all right. And we can go and start processing them. Okay, here we go, progress. You can see it's very quick, this process. Okay, so it's telling us it's done all of that. So if we go to that folder now, we should see we've got all of those images now which have had those sharpening settings applied to them. Now you'll see some are much better than others. And again, at this stage, if you want to, maybe if you think any look particularly bad, you could discard a few. I can see some of these look much softer than others. Okay. Now what we need to do now, of course, is we need to align all these images. Okay. So what we're going to do next is IMPPG has got this other option here, which is align image sequence. So we're going to go to the top here and go align image sequence, and we're going to pick up all those files that we just did that to. So we've got our sharpened folder that we've just dumped all those in. We're going to go Open. I'm just leaving the default settings here, which is that's ticked. It's got crop to intersection, stabilize high contrast features. I'm going to leave that, and I'm just going to check my output folder to make sure where it's putting it. So I think, let's have a look. So there we go, test. And this one, so this one I'm going to call a new folder name again. I'm going to call this one aligned, and select folder, and I'm going to start processing. All right, so that, again, pretty quick, eh? That should be done. Let's go and look at our folder now. We've got an aligned folder. Okie dokie. So if we go forward now on each image, you can kind of see, look, the animation is in, it's changing very slightly on each one, and you can see it's sort of cropped it. All right, so that's that part done. So we can now close IMPPG. So we've used that to batch sharpen our images and then batch align our images. So now we've got our aligned folder. So these are the files that we now ultimately want to use. All right, so final program we want now is called pip, which I can't remember what the name of that stands for, but it's a great little program here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, let's just copy that path there. We're going to go add image files, and we want these aligned image files now. So here we go. That's that 25 files. Okay, join mode has been selected because one or more. Okay, I think that's correct. So we're going to leave that on join mode, which I think is correct. Now we're going to select planetary animation AVI on this, which I'm pretty sure works for this. We're going to leave that as join mode. Input options, do not think we need to change anything here. Look, sometimes this takes a little bit of, you're going to have to do this a few times because there's so many settings in this. Processing options. So I have got this set to object planetary at the moment. Okay, there is a surface feature option here, but I'm going to just leave this as object and planetary. Okay. Quality options, don't need to do anything there. Animation options. Number of frame times to pause. So if you want to pause at the end of this, basically what we're going to do here is we're going to join all of these images together into a video file. And as you can see here, it says how many times do you want to repeat. So if you've only got 1 second, for example, you might want to repeat that. You might want to repeat those 25 images 5 times. So you've got a few seconds worth. You can see the animation over and over again. So let's just leave it repeated at 5 sequences. I'm going to take the pause off. I don't want to pause between each of them. Play all the frames in forward order. Like I said, I've got that ticked as 5 repeats. I might just click on this test options at the moment and see if it gives me any. Okay, so what's it saying? All frames of blah, blah, blah. Check the following options: object detection threshold and minimum object size. Okay, let's go back and have a look. I'm going to just untick this enable object detection for now. Let's do a test again. Okay, so it seems to, that error seems to have gone now. So I've unticked this enable object detection. Okay, yeah. And that seems to, no errors are coming up now. So let's go to do processing. And let's just see what happens. Let's go start processing. Okay. All right, so it has created that video file. You can see what's happened here is it's created a subfolder called pip. And within that folder, it's created a little video file. Let's just try it. Let's try and click on play. All right, and there we have it. Our little, it's repeating these few frames over and over again, but there you have it, a little cool animation. Now look, this is obviously not the best data in the world because There was a lot of variation between each shot here because the seeing wasn't great. I even had a few sort of clouds going over, but look, it's still kind of cool just to be able to see an animation like that. And we can actually have a look. The one that I did, the full capture that I did yesterday, we go and have a look at that. Let's see if we can find it. Here we are, solar sequence. This is the full capture that I did yesterday, which was a lot of files, over about an hour and a half worth of capturing. So all the same process you'll see aligned, and then finally the output in pip. And that was the final animation there. Now, of course, when you output the final video file here, you're probably going to want to crop the edges. So whatever program you use, whether it's you know, Premiere Pro, whatever video, you can crop those edges in so you're not seeing you know, you're not seeing any of these little the cropping that's happening sort of on the outer edges here. Yeah, and that's pretty much how you do it. So I will leave you guys with that final animation. I hope this might have helped somebody out there who is maybe just doing this for the first time and is not sure how to put a little animation together, because I know I found it a little bit confusing the first time I did this, but I think with processing them as a batch like I showed in AutoStacker and then processing them as a batch in IMPPG, sharpening them and processing them actually, and then aligning them in IMPPG, and then just doing that final sequence here in pip, it's fiddly. It's a bit fiddly, but it's not as hard as it might seem. So I hope that's helped you guys a little bit, and I'll catch you next time. Clear skies to everyone.